So we continue. This is our last week dealing with some of Matthew Fox's works. I'm going to read some out of this book for you today, a couple of quotes, and the recognition of the cosmic Christ. As I was contemplating today, I couldn't come up. So I formed, and in fact, I'm going to say this again probably later, but the original title for today was I Am the Good Shepherd, and it comes right out of his work and the idea that we are shepherds for each other, not, and you know how it goes, there's a title out there. It's something that I wrote down weeks ago, and I'm not quite sure why. And then every time I sat down to do the work or the research, it's like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And you put it away and try again. And yet last night, I usually have a really hard time sleeping. It's like, I don't know why, it's been with me my entire life. But going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 11 is not how this world works. That's how my body wants to work. So that's been a continual struggle. And as I got older, it's like, wow, now, especially now that I get to make more of my own schedule, that means sometimes I nap in the middle of the day because I have to force myself to be up with the children for school and, all of that stuff. But yesterday, I didn't get my nap. In fact, I took the kids to Cleveland yesterday to the botanical gardens in Cleveland. And I'm not sure whether that was why or what, but soon after we got home before dark, because that's me now too. You get to a certain age and you want to be home before dark. And we have dinner and I couldn't keep my eyes open. So the regular Saturday evening movie did not happen. I went to bed. Actually, I was asleep well before 9, which is crazy. It's because that's not me at all. And we had a great time yesterday, as an aside. That was the perfect thing to do. And I'm not quite sure yet that the reason I fell asleep was because of that trip or not. But in that, I woke up with some neat revelations. I'm gonna take that part of my sleep journey was needed because I woke up really early, again, not me, and wrote, you were talking about writing 8 pages. I wrote way more than that in here. We're not going to read it all, but at least it gave me a guideline for today. So again, it was originally the Good Shepherd. I am the Good Shepherd. And yet, that's only part of it. It's more like good stewardship, right? And coming together. I want to read here what cultivating the cosmic sense means from Matthew Fox's actual words. He says it so well. He talks about recovering the cosmic Christ is to recover our sense of sacred in all nature, that everything is sacred, including our human nature. And in doing so, we deepen our commitment to the following. And there are 5 steps, which I've talked about all month, but I've not actually read them to you. The first one is deep ecumenicism or interfaith, interspirituality. For the cosmic Christ takes us to the heart of all religious experiments, the living encounter with the divine in everything, in everything. The second is ecological justice. The cosmic Christ reminding us that a healthy planet is a gift for all humanity and all other beings. It is a gift that requires attention and care, defending and wise stewardship. 3 is ending militarism and the misuse of human imagination to build ever more demonic weapons. There is no need to spend our limited brain power and treasure on killing enemies rather than loving our children. Yeah. Ending the most advanced form of gluttony ever despised on our planet, our advertising-fed addiction to consumerism that in turn feeds an economic system that makes idols of objects. It does so at the expense of development of intersubjective relationships that matter, such as celebrating, ritual making, healing, and learning what true living is all about. And the fifth one, taming the reptilian brain. This 420 million old part of us is all about action and reaction and being number one. It can easily dominate the mammal brain, which is about family and kinship, compassion, and is only half as old as the reptilian brain. Mysticism can calm the reptilian brain because it teaches us the value of solitude. And reptiles are quite prone to aloneness and solitude. He doesn't mince words, does he? It's quite fantastic. That Christ, that everything, that cosmic sense that he's talking about is in everything. It's through everything. It's with everything. It's you, because you are part of that everything. It's also both the light and the darkness. We're able to see, hear, feel, understand that Christ consciousness, that divine nature in all creation, every aspect of our lives. And we are stewards of that. We are shepherds of the grace. So the plants, the animals, the trees, the air, the food, natural resources, space, stars, the moon, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, all are the cosmic Christ. Not just a part of it, but is it. That God is everything and also nothing. The God that is present in every joy, every heartbreak. The Christ that both witnesses and is the waterfall and also the hurricane. The bonfire with friends and that forest fire running amok. It's everything. The sleeping baby is safe in our crib. That's the Christ consciousness, but also that 4-year-old that's exhausted in his parents' arms, sitting at the edge of the Rio Grande, migrating from Haiti. The playground full of children at the local school, and also the children playing in the muddy, war-torn field where children chase each other with sticks, while parents forage in the trees trying to find food left around in the environment. Christ is in the well-heated home and also in the oil spill sitting in the Gulf right at this very moment. We are the hands and the ears and the eyes and the decision makers of the cosmic Christ on this planet. Our voices, our actions, our prayers, our meditations. We choose to follow Spirit's whisper. We are always connected, being led and offered choices to be better, to do better, to know where we can make the most difference. I said I often have trouble falling asleep, but I also have very often very, very vivid dreams when I do sleep. And a lot of times those dreams foreshadow, sometimes creepily so. They give something for me to consider that maybe I haven't considered before. They offer conversations with loved ones that are past. A friend once that I was telling some of these about, she pointed out that my dreams, the ones that also seem to be very connected, are the ones where I also tell her I wake up and I have trouble opening my eyes. And the Sandman, you really have to like get a washcloth to get the Sandman off, you know the feeling. And this morning I woke up that way, and every time that happens, I remember her saying, you better pay attention to what happened while you were sleeping if you wake up that way. And the words that were still with me when I'm trying to see in the morning were, we walk each other home. We walk each other home. Now, the first time I heard those words was from somebody on a pulpit that was talking about how we each get ourselves to heaven with each other. And that's a very lovely image. But the sense I had this morning was that we're already home. We are home. And that if spirit comprises everything, this is part of that. This is part of that home place. So that if we're walking each other home, we're walking each other into that realization. Not that we have to do something to get us someplace else, or that this is some kind of total misery we need to get over so that we can get home, but that we are already here. And that when we walk each other that way, we help each other realize how much we're already here and how we need to, whatever talent we have, decorating, singing, sharing, talking, that we are the good shepherds, that we are taking on the role of stewardship in this home now. When we were at the gardens yesterday, I'm always amazed at how much my kids are connected in those areas. You know, their daddy was, and somehow in the short amount of time he got to spend with them on this planet, he infused them with all the plants and the critters. And in fact, the other night I'm driving home with Galen, I forget where we were coming from, and he starts yelling to slow down because it was raining and there were toads and frogs on the road. And so and thank goodness we weren't too far from, I could slow down on this road. And we actually weaved in and out of the frogs as he was pointing them out on the road. But to be that conscious, because here I am just, and I had to remember, and I said to him, which I hadn't thought about in years, his daddy would leave the house at those rainy times, at that time of day when it rained. He knew that all the little critters like that would be out. And he would drive around real slow around the neighborhood with a bucket and pick them all up, put them in a bucket. And then the kids, when they were wee little, would walk down to the pond with him the next morning to let them all go. I hadn't thought about that in forever. And Galen says he'd only kind of teeny weeny bit remembers it because he was so young. And yet somehow that's infused in him to be that conscious, And even conscious of, the insects. They're not allowed in my house. I have a conversation with the universe that if they come in my house, they're dead. You can live outside. But even the insects have their place. In a show I just watched with my children, there's a character, Ella, in it, and she figured out in the show that the end of the world was coming because there was a significant dip in the mosquito population. Even the blood-sucking irritants in our lives have a place. It's how we deal with those critters and those irritants that's important. I spent a huge part of my life steering away from irritants. We don't want to even deal with them, right? Or make sure that the waves weren't too big for somebody else, and just go around, or to form my life in ways that other people wouldn't have waves. And yet, when your boat gets knocked around a little bit, you learn how to navigate really fast, to point the boat into the waves. Instead of letting yourself get knocked around with them, you learn how to swim. So you don't drown when that boat does inevitably get tipped over, because all of our boats get tipped over sometime. In being true to you and in being true to everything around you and recognizing them and making decent choices, it is possible to be in cooperation in the world together, to walk each other home. part of that, is being a little bit bold and ride right into the waves. Even if somebody's doing something else around you, do things like planting trees and recycling. When we were at the gardens yesterday, we stopped and we got something at the little diner place they had there at the middle of the day for a snack. And they had a little sign. They're like, okay, these kind of things on your tray you can recycle, and these kind of things on your tray you put here because we're going to compost them. And these kind of things on your tray, we don't know what to do with. They have to go to the landfill. But it was easy, and we make things so hard. It took 3 extra seconds to put things in different bins. Stay informed enough to actually, in this world, in fact, in our area of the world, we vote for people that help and make these decisions. So know who you're voting for ecology, for nature, for science, people that will honor the diversity in the human existence so that it's a little bit more fair and the expressions of humanity are allowed and are honored, and to honor others as we would have them honor us. And in this way, we walk each other home. Amen.